I'd like to call the April meeting of the North Highlands Recreation and Park District to order. Okay, item number 2, approval of the minutes. So do we want to take them separate or together? We have the minutes for the March 14, 2019 regular meeting and the April 4, 2019 special meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve both sets of minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. So, we continue to have good turnouts to our Prop 68 public meetings, and hopefully, we'll have equal or more community participation in that, and Doug is doing an awesome job with that, so staff getting information out to the public. Scott, your guys are doing an amazing job keeping the parks looking fantastic, keeping it clean. Cleaning up the graffiti that was over at Brock a couple weeks ago. They took care of that. I mean, you can't even tell that someone spray paint. I know I could see the sidewalk being spray painted. I don't know if it got tagged anymore because I didn't go out and walk the park, but
I didn't see it.
that, what was visible, that was taken care of immediately. So,
Great.
awesome job. Thank you. So, any of my fellow board members have any comments they'd like to make?
Terry, has everybody done their Form 700?
Yeah, everybody's done.
Yeah,
Okay,
she-
just-
I haven't seen about that for a minute. Diane, Pedro, and our lawyer, and Scott did his.
And I do want to say that Terry came down to the county this morning for a presentation.
She did.
I saw her evaluation on since I know her handwriting. No, it's actually a very good evaluation. We appreciate it, so,
Oh, I'm glad.
yeah.
All of finance left before I got to turn mine in, so that's why you didn't.
I have no
get
idea.
mine.
I mean, I left really early. You saw that.
No, but, yeah, oh, that's right, you had.
It said you can, I thought it said in there you can email it in if you wanted to.
That's all right.
Okay.
I like to remain anonymous. Of course, then my email address will be changed.
That's true.
This week. All right, does anyone else have any comments? All right. Larry, do you have anything you'd like to, oh, excuse me, reports from standing committees. So, anyone who's met, they're on the agenda, correct?
Good.
All right, thank you.
Good.
Okay, administrators report. Larry, do you have anything you'd like to highlight?
No, I just put a handout in front of you as a reminder of some upcoming important events. We have, as you previously mentioned, we have the Sierra Creek Public Meeting number 3, Tuesday, April 23rd at 6:30 at Spinelli Elementary School. And as some of the board may be aware, due to some conversation that was taking place on a Facebook group page dedicated to antelope, I put some information on there about Prop 68 and developing Sierra Creek Park, and we've got a lot of feedback, and I've had a number of phone calls in the last week, and I'm getting the feeling that people are really starting to find out about this now, because this is the one closest to the park itself, this next meeting. I have a feeling we're going to have more attendance than we had in the first two. Also, I want to point out that on Saturday, May 4th at 11:30 to 1 o'clock, we have the Cherry Blossom Park dedication ceremonies. And Mark and Sarah have taken that under their wing to start putting that together. And you should be getting some invitations there shortly. Mark did a good job on those. And we also heard back from the developer that they would like to also participate in the ceremony by contributing. So our hot dog vendor fell through, so I pushed them to see if they wanted to do hot dogs and hamburgers and take that on as a responsibility. And so they said they'll get back to me. But they certainly said that they want to participate. And we've also asked the developer, the architect for the park, and the contractor for the park to let us know who from their organizations would be attending so we could notice them in the program, but also make sure that we know who's there so we can, make that analysis when we're there. And it sounds like all of them are having a big crowd coming. So I think it's going to be well attended, just certainly by those who are very involved in the particular project. One other note about Cherry Blossom Park, as you're aware, the 19th of April, the district that was a scheduled date the district would take over the park. That's been pushed to at least the 24th of April. And the reason is some of you may be aware, we asked the contractor had to do a little extra work on what they call Lot G, which is actually, it's a utility lot. And also we asked them to construct some fencing on the district's behalf that would be in the rear portion of where the retention pond is, to keep the homeless from going back there and setting up tent camps. And so that, along with the fact is that we need to do the walkthrough prior to that and then give them a little bit of time if anything needs to be fixed. But we think that, the meeting is the walkthrough is the 24th, so within a day or two after that, I think everything will be wrapped up. And I'll let the board know, because developers also in the process of transferring ownership of the property from them to the district as well. That's an update on Cherry Blossom Park. And then the last two are just a reminder of the last two Sierra Creek Park public meetings. The fourth meeting is Wednesday, May 8th at Ridge Point, and the last one is actually on site at Sierra Creek Park on Saturday, May 18th at 11 o'clock. And speaking to Doug, excuse me, we may want to turn that into more of a walking tour of the site, because I think a lot of people have a view of it from either their backyard or from the school or from Watt Avenue, but probably, including myself, have not had to walk the entire site. So that's likely what we're going to be at least a good function, a main function of that particular day. So that's all I have to add right now.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Scott, is there anything you'd like to add? Oh, I'm so sorry. I guess I'm singing too much.
Two questions on Cherry Blossom. One, we going to do a press release and let the TV stay? Okay. Are we letting the residents of the subdivision know, and how are we doing that?
The developer is providing us with a list of residents who are not only living there, but also have
purchased, right,
and maybe have not moved in yet.
Right.
And so we figure that's in the 170 range of homeowners. So we'll certainly get the word out, well in advance.
I mean, we're going to send them each a letter then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They're going to get an invitation.
They are, okay.
Yeah.
Similar like what Kay's was.
Right. Okay. Fine. Thank you.
All right, anything else, Alan?
No, that's all I got.
All right, thank you. Anyone else that I might have missed?
I can't wait to see that invitation from my daughter's house.
That'll be great.
All right, Scott, do you have anything you have?
Outside my written report, unless there are any questions, I have.
Is there anything for Scott?
Just to clarify, the trailer that came, that wasn't our trailer, right?
No.
Okay,
It was,
I thought so, I just wanted to
I
clarify.
got the most random phone call driving back from lunch that day, and Doug said, hey, why is there a trailer in our bushes out in front? That was being towed by a private citizen, and the
Right.
trailer came
Came
in the
out.
ditch, and right past the signboard down there. But All Star Rentals was there on the spot and got it.
All right, thank you. All right, Mark.
I have two things. So the first is the Highland Dolphin Swim Team has started practice this week. And I know it was a big deal throughout the year to lower the fees, and we were hoping to get a bigger, higher interest throughout the community. I definitely think we've had a major interest from the community. We have, half our team is full of new families, and we have 98 kids already. Typically at this time, we have around 60. So to have 98 is incredible, because we don't even have the high school kids yet. We're still pulling in new families. We're getting a lot of feedback about the lowering fees, making it much more affordable for families to now participate in youth sport. We have a lot of kids that we talk to that have never actually participated in youth sport before, but now have the opportunity to do it because it is so affordable. So because of that, we are making a bigger difference in the community with the swim team itself. And we'll probably be more competitive down the road. And the second one is with the, on April 20th, just a reminder that we do have the spring fling that's coming up here. That'll be from 10 to 12. We'll have the trainers back again this year. The petting zoo will be there. It's Zach's request, as we talked about last time, great idea. It's going to be out there the entire time, full 2 hours. They'll be out there at the petting zoo.
I just like to pat it. No, the girls last year, they were bumming when it went away, so.
No, this year it's going to be there the whole time. 100% agree. Face painters will be out there, tons of vendors, and of course the egg hunts. If you guys have kids between the ages of 1 and 4, I recommend coming out because it's a great opportunity for them to have almost like a private egg hunt in the sense the way we do it. We do heats every 10 minutes, and no parents are allowed to actually get to enjoy it. So hopefully we'll see you guys out there for that day of the event.
All right, thank you.
So
Okay.
just a comment, I believe next swim season, Mr. Smith will be entering his daughter, so.
She can swim?
Huh?
She can't swim yet?
Well, I know, that's why.
Well, that's what
we're in
we're
lessons.
That's
Lessons this summer.
Yeah. She's 3.5. Just a reminder.
Oh, that's a
She loves the pool, but so far not without floaties.
Okay.
So
I
once
mean, hovering.
tell her to join it. Keep our classes low.
Yeah. Work on it.
We'll all work on
Thank
it.
you, Margaret. All right, anyone else have any questions for staff? Okay, Terry, yeah, I saw Terry too, so she did go to the year-end meeting at the county and the board changes today.
Sarah, did I do okay?
You
Okay.
did excellent,
We're
Alan.
15 minutes.
I told you, I'm in and out.
All right, number 7, correspondence. We received a letter from Kate Dayhill thanking the district and the board, and she expressed some very heartfelt gratitude to be honored in such a way to have the community center dedicated to her and renamed after her on her behalf. So, on the item 8, comments and reports from citizens and organizations. We have a guest here from Fulton El Camino Police Department. So, Tim, can you step up to the podium, please?
There's no microphone at the podium, but we do have a podium.
Yeah, where's the microphone?
Thank you guys for allowing me to come to the meeting. My name is Tim Rouse. I am one of the park rangers for the Fulton El Camino Park District Police Department. Just a little bit, real quick about myself. I've got over 25 years in law enforcement. I kind of do this because I'm a community member in the Rio Linda area, and so this borders my area here. And I just enjoy law enforcement work, so still do it. The new chief is an old friend of mine, asked me to come over. The reason that I'm here tonight is to let you guys know that we are, as we're growing because of like North Highlands contracting with us and all the other stuff. We cover every park district now north of the river. So in that doing so, we're hiring more officers, and that is allowing us to do more focused problem work. So we've actually developed what's called a POP officer program. Sheriff's Department has one, most agencies do. If you're not aware of it, POP stands for Problem-Oriented Policing. So we kind of focus more so on specific problems rather than just jumping from call to call or park to park. My area, I've been assigned to North Highlands, Rio Linda, Alberta, and Arcade Creek Park District, so that's what I will be focusing on. So I wanted to kind of introduce myself, let you guys know that we're implementing this. We're going to have some growing pains as this comes in. We're trying to figure out how we're gonna make it work. We still are a part-time agency, but I'm sure that in the long run, it will be a benefit. Because again, when you talk about things like graffiti and stuff, we'll be able to actually look a little bit more into those problems. Be able to hopefully try and do some more investigation and figure out when and where these problems are occurring and why. My usual shifts are Friday night swing shifts, and I rotate Sunday days and alternating Saturday night swing shifts. So I don't get to interact with a lot of you guys. Working at night, interacting with all your wonderful residents in the park. But hopefully you're seeing a difference. And I know we've been, me in particular, Freedom Park, Brock Park, they've been kind of a focus of mine. I spend a lot of time between those parks. And I think I'm noticing now, I used to be able to pull into Freedom Park at 1 o'clock in the morning, there'd be 8 cars sitting there. Now I come in there and there's not a single car to be found. I might have one transient I find sleeping under the picnic table area, but that's about it. And again, Brock Park the same way. At night, they're just not. They're getting the message that we're not the sheriff's department, and it's nothing against the sheriff's department, but the sheriff's department has nothing time to do but run from call to call to call. They don't have time to focus on these kind of things where we do. We're pointing it out, writing the tickets, letting them know it's not acceptable, and that we will do something about it, if at all possible, as long as the state of California doesn't tie our hands anymore. So, so that's really it. I'd like you guys to do, if you could, I'm sure some of you are already in communication with Taylor, if you know Taylor, the sergeant. You can stay in contact with him, but if you can CC me on issues that you're having, obviously district business and stuff between their business, that stays there, but my email is my first initial T, last name Rouze, and it's at FECRECPD.com. Yeah, just send me, if you get something like with that graffiti or something, forward me some photographs of it. We can look at it. I've got a lot of experience with gangs and various other things, so we can start looking to see if it's any of our typical gang tags from the neighborhood, and if they're starting to move into the parks, those type of things.
Actually, you just kind of answered the question I was going to ask. Do we take a picture of graffiti before we clean it up?
We do, specifically if it looks like it's gang
It's a
related.
tag. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And we do keep those, on file on computers.
Yeah, because one morning I was walking by the sheriff's department building, because I parked behind it, and someone had tagged the side of the sheriff's department. And before anybody can come out and take a picture, maintenance cleaned it off, and they never got to see what it was.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, so that's basically my little speech tonight. Anybody have some questions for me?
Good.
I think Brock Park's, I've been there lately because I got a grandson there. And I'm used to seeing wanderers there all the time, and it's
Yeah, it's good.
getting a lot better.
Yeah.
We're gonna start doing a lot more, basically undercover type operations, where one of us will be in there just in plain clothes, so we can spot them drinking alcohol, because a lot of times they'll see us pull in and they just run. So we're gonna try and actually.
Go out the back.
Yeah, they go.
Yeah.
When we have two, we always kind of coordinate it, so there's one on the back gate and one comes in the
Right.
front, so there's a flycatcher in the back, but.
Yeah.
But we're gonna try and coordinate more of those, as well as at some of the events, so I'm not sure who, or if I can get it from Taylor or one of you guys, but if I can get a list of events that you have coming up in the different parks, that would be great, so we can kind of look and see where we might wanna put those operations, what's gonna be the most beneficial, to basically let the people know parks are for the people to enjoy, not the rest of the stuff that goes on, so.
Tim, I have a question for you. Larry mentioned the community forums we're doing on Tozaga New Park that we're hoping to get a grant for. There's been a lot of questions and feedback on open rustic space versus developed park space and the impact on the homeless population. I mean, we get our share of homeless at Sierra Creek. It's got fence lines with tree covers, and
Sure.
we've asked you guys to run them out, and you've done a good job of that. Your experience, I mean, developed parks versus open space, I mean, is there a clear difference? Which one discourages the homeless from hanging out or camping overnight?
Developed parks, I think, definitely will discourage them a little bit because they know that there's going to be more people, more activity, at all hours. Where the undeveloped, for instance, is it the Cherry Blossom up here on Watt Avenue, the new one you're developing by the school? It's undeveloped in there. I spend a lot of times walking back and finding those trees back there because it's they anticipated they're ready to walk around there. So, on a side note though, if any of you do walk back there, just to let you know, the neighbor stopped me the other night and he says, make sure you walk all the way around because I throw my dog poop over the fence so that the transients will walk in. I'm like, thanks for the warning.
Great.
I'm sure that's the reason why.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you're on patrol a week from Tuesday, you have nothing to do around 6:30, stop by Spinelli Elementary.
It's on Tuesday?
Tuesday the 23rd.
Actually, I was gonna invite him, not ask him to stop by. The reason is that we're applying for a Prop 68 grant to develop Sierra Creek Park. And that's the one right off of Watt. I think the one you were talking about before is Cherry Blossom is actually a developed park that we'll take ownership of in a few weeks.
Yes, that's the new one.
But at each of the first two meetings, we've had conversations where, in fact, this has been a topic on the Facebook group page about the fact that some people believe that if you develop a park, it's going to attract the homeless, and that is just the opposite. It is totally. In fact, they don't want to be around people and around activities because there's more eyes on them. So they, unfortunately, they don't leave. They just move off to someplace else. So either myself or Scott will get in touch with you if you or someone from Fulton El Camino PD is available that night, even just to spend 5 minutes just to address the group before. That I think is going to go a long ways because this particular meeting is right there at the school that's adjacent to the park. And that seems to be probably the overriding issue is homeless. People said they don't want to develop because now we're going to give a place for homeless to come to. And we can tell them that that's really not the way it works. But maybe for someone who spends a good part of their time in the parks looking for bad people and homeless, your words might carry a little bit more weight.
Sure. My schedule's free. I will just give you a call.
I'll send you.
Taylor, I'm sure it won't be a
Okay,
problem at all.
and just so you know, is that Scott is the main district contact to Fulton El Camino, and probably spends more time talking to Taylor.
I've actually met
Yeah,
a couple
we
times.
changed the keys.
And that one that night at Open Door.
Yep.
Yep, yeah.
So anyway, Scott will get in touch with you, and if you can make it, that would be great. And I'll let the individuals who's running the meetings on behalf of the district will let you know that you're coming. And just a few words right up front may alleviate a lot of concerns and probably save us 20-30 minutes of conversation in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because if I was a neighbor and that was the situation, well, they are real and it's developing right corner from my house. And I'm actually glad because it will cut back to transient traffic through there. They don't want to be
Well, sometimes when we say it, people in Parks and Recreation feel, the public looks at it as, well, that's self-serving, you just want to tell us that because you want us to support the park. In reality, and we have taken some time to explain to them that with particularly Freedom Park, just a couple of years ago, the homeless were outnumbering the people using the park. The restrooms were being damaged and broken into on a regular basis, and we were having issues of drug dealing and other types of things happening in the parking lot. I don't have a specific percentage, but according to Taylor and from our own eyesight, I would say it's clearly 80% better than it ever was before. Yes, you're still going to have some of that activity, but you're going to find that anywhere. But it's been really cleaned up. And I think, again, if you could say a few words along those lines, I think that might help the discussion kind of move past that point.
Sure. I came to work for Fulton actually, I think 3 weeks before the Northbound's contract went into place. So I came on in last July. And when in the beginning, Freedom Park and Brock Park were bad enough that some of our officers that don't have a lot of experience, we're actually not allowed to go there in the very first until we get a few weeks in there, especially at night. And we got a few weeks in there to actually let these guys know, we're here. You're going to be face to face with me. And it's surprising how many of them I actually know from other duties. It's like, oh, what are you doing here? Well, you know me. You know I'm fair and I'm easy, but I will not tolerate this stuff. So that's usually all it takes, is just being on it and stay on it. And so, yeah, I agree. It's, like I said, I can't go in there at night. I can hardly ever find a car in that parking lot. And
Wonderful.
So, yes, I will email me on that, and I will get it okayed, and I'm sure there won't be a problem. My schedule is totally clear, so. All right, perfect.
Thank you.
You guys have anything
Thank
else?
Thank you.
Thanks. Head on and try and make Arcade Creeks meeting, because they have it on the same night you guys do.
All right, thank you for stopping by.
Sure, thank you.
So item number 9, unfinished business. We don't have any. Item 10. But she's on.
Under new business.
Yeah, you're under new business.
Oh,
Okay. Item 10, new business, a Streesick Park neighbor fence replacement request. So Larry, is there anything you'd like to highlight?
More so I don't butcher your last name, I always want to put an H in
It
front of
actually
there.
is an H instead of
There
an
it
N.
is, okay.
I just don't write my H is very clear.
I won't say where I got the name from, but I didn't have an H with it, Terry. Anyway, because I kept on trying to pronounce it without the H, and it's just like it doesn't roll off right, so I apologize. As the board is aware, last board meeting, Morris Schnapper,
Shapper.
I'm sorry. So it's no N, it's an H. Okay. Attended the board meeting and shared with the board some issues that she had with a fence that backs up to her property and to Streesick Park. The question was the board, I'll paraphrase, do we have a policy? Is there any ability for the board, for the district to help out when fences are damaged or fall down? And so I told the board I would do some research on it and get back to you on this. As the report says, I did put this item on the CSDA open forum and was mildly surprised I didn't get much feedback, and most of it was not real specific to this particular issue. So I thought the next best thing was contact our legal counsel, who would do, obviously, would research it and get back to us. And in your packet, and a copy of it has been provided to Maura as well, to let you know that as our attorney stated, there's really no policy in place that allows us the district to assist in this area. And in fact, fences that do back up to parks are generally installed by the developer, or especially in an older park where you've had many owners over time, those fences could have been built and rebuilt and rebuilt, and it could have been a neighbor issue, a neighborhood project or something. But he said, but made it very clear that those fences are not owned by the district, they're not owned by cities, they're not owned by counties, and in my conversations with them, it's generally designed that way for this very reason. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you in the report, and like I said, I provided a copy to the resident as well.
All right, does anyone have any questions?
So you have no other recommendations at this point?
Well, the recommendation is that at this point in time, we do not have a policy in place. Excuse me, I think it's for, while it's fresh in everybody's mind here, 5, 10, 15 years from now, this issue could come up again. And I think having something as a board policy that extracts some of the comments from our legal counsel, and maybe I'll work with them to even come up with a policy, and then we would bring that back to the board, go through the proper channels with the committee, bring it back to the board, and add it to our policy manual. If not, then we're going to find ourselves right back here again, and there could be a new administrator, new board, and they might repeat the same steps to get the same answer.
So your recommendation is we should come up with a policy?
We should establish a policy for the district.
All right, Maura, do you have a speaker card, so you still want to speak? All right, thank you.
Well, first of all, I appreciate that you guys looked into that. Mr. and I'll try and say your name right. Mizuka?
You got it.
All right. So I appreciate that. It's always nice to feel heard. And I understand that, legally there's nothing that needs to happen. If at any point in time you come up with a grant, that'd be great. Maybe even a couple $100 helps just to replace posts or something like that. But I appreciate you guys following through. So I just wanted to say thank you. It's always nice. And on the side note, having your child swim at an early age is good. I say that as a past swimming instructor myself. So there you go.
We've been looking into a when. It's
I
gonna
actually did
happen
mine
this
at
summer.
infant.
Yeah, it's gonna happen this summer. We're just looking at scheduling. Yeah, it's gonna happen.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just as a side note, both of my kids started swim lessons, swim team. They both became lifeguards and swim instructors, and he knows both of them.
So there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Or I will add, once you put your new fence up, if anything occurs on our side, like graffiti or anything,
It looks like there's been some in the past.
we'll take care of that. Just report it to us and we'll take care of
Nice
it.
job you guys did on the bath.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, item 10B, election of board director officer policies. So, did the
Yes,
commission
we
want to
did.
speak?
Yes, we did. Sure, we can, we will. We did meet. I think it was a rather, a really nice meeting. As you can read there, before there's no really stated policy stating any type of rotation. There was some talk about us, just rotating in and out. As far as all that went, again, we had some good lengthy discussion. And I think really what we came up with, what I thought was really a nice compromise. There's some pros and cons, obviously, as to why we should rotate, and then obviously why we should not. Okay, and some of the things were brought out, obviously, just gives a breath of open, fresh air, if you will, okay, for us to move around and to be in that chair and bring up different points of view. Obviously, something that might be a con would be, the continuity, and also within that chairperson, with the administrator, he wants to be able to, he should have a direct hand. Sometimes some of the jobs we do may take us out of that. So what we did, really to make it kind of short and sweet, if you will, we came up with something saying, hey, why don't we compromise a little bit, if you will, and just have the chairperson would only hold 2 consecutive terms maximum.
Diane's done that.
And that's what we would.
Well, we're starting after this year.
Yeah, obviously.
No,
This was something that
goes back. This is it for her then.
This is something that we talked about, and I think also so that we would still vote. It just wouldn't say, hey, Joe goes there, Sally goes here. We would actually again vote to make sure and fill that position. I thought that was something that we came up with was really good compromise. I don't know if Alan was also there with me. He could also probably add,
I'm just going to add one quick little thing.
Sure.
Because Pedro's very kind, I'm more blunt. It was brought up that what if in the future we have a road board member that just is completely out in left field? Do you want that person being the chair? If it's an automatic rotation, maybe not a good thing. So that's one reason why we came up with what we did.
There were some stuff there. So, is this something we gotta move on?
Well,
Any other questions?
I agree definitely with that point, because if a rogue board member, yeah, that would be a concern. One concern I have with this though is if, you and Diana you have a lengthy tenure here, right? Your experience,
Yeah.
but after you two, it's me. I don't feel like, right now, I don't think I could do that.
Well,
I don't think so.
But again, it's not, so I'm not putting any ideas in anybody's head. So Diane's done 2 years, so she's done. So technically, because Pat's the vice chair, Pat can move in. If Pat doesn't feel comfortable, I can go back and do it for a year. It's just, if you have somebody, and you don't realize it until you're the chair on how much extra communication is going on in the sidelines and things like that. And it would be very tough for you and Pedro because your teachers, you don't get a chance to look at your email during the day. Sometimes we get an email from Larry saying, hey, this just came up, you know, do we need a special board meeting? You know, how can we do, you know, whatever the situation is. And, you know, I check my home email once or twice during the day usually. I mean, I usually respond pretty rapidly, and I believe Diane does too, right there? Okay. Just want to make sure that you're still.
Just,
So I mean, you know, on that side of it, you know, but again, I think Pat would do a great job as the chair next year. If he doesn't feel comfortable, okay, I'll do it for a year or whatever. So that was kind of, and again, this was a pretty lengthy discussion that we had. It wasn't like, okay, let's just do this. So we really laid out the pros and cons, and Larry had everything lined up for us. What's the benefit of doing it each way, and we do appreciate that.
I'd like to add one thing too. You know, I think the first time you take any new position, especially, we'll just consider this a step up. I don't think we're ever really qualified, if you will, fully qualified to take and say, hey man, I'm gonna be the master of that position. It's all learning curves that we're all gonna undertake. And I think that we also, you know, we're privileged. I mean, I think us three, we came in around at the same time. I think we're at a really good advantage to have mentors, coaches, whatever you want to that we look at. So I think, you know, not disagreeing with you too harshly, but I think we would be able to step up and do what we need to do, knowing that we have guidance.
Right.
And I think we're all here to make sure that happens. I think that's what's really good about this policy as well. Because as Alan had said, if it came to the point where it's like, man, I'm just overwhelmed or this or that, I just need another year or two or whatever the case might be, we do have other folks who I think would do that, you know, would be willing to step up in that position and again, guide us through. So I thought this was a really good policy, as Alan was saying too, and I think Larry outlined some good points for us also, that we also looked at, and appreciate that. So, you know, I just think this is a really, much better policy that we have, and you know, to get to keep that, not necessarily a rotation, but hey, you know what, we will, you know, at one point probably, you know, step up or whatever the case is.
If I could just weigh in on a couple of quick things. And one thing, don't forget, even though the chair is right here, everybody's close by and everybody's willing to help. And, you know, certainly I'm available whenever you need to get in touch with me. Everything that you do is always for the first time. Alan was a chairman for a long time, but at one point he had to be chair for the first time. And the same thing for Diane. And so, yeah, you get a little nervous there, but you know, it doesn't take very long before you, and again, you guys are observing this now. But I wanted to comment on both you two made it about the road board members. So I had a few minutes last week after a meeting. I went in on YouTube, and oh my goodness, there's a whole section on road council members, road board members, and how they actually silence them. They strip them of committee work. People who just get in and just they're in a rotation system in their agency, and now this doesn't happen that frequently, but it does happen, and they automatically assume that they can do whatever they want in that position, and sometimes they run afoul of their board members or council members, and they do things where they put the agency and the organization in jeopardy. And so people, the ones I watched, I never got the idea that they were doing it to be vindictive. I got it because they were trying to protect the organization and making sure that this person did not get them in trouble. And so, yeah, it happens. It doesn't happen frequently, but it could happen. And in this way here, you have a choice. You get to make that choice. If you put it in a rotation, if you have somebody on there that makes you nervous, well, eventually, if you give them enough time, they're gonna be there, right? So I thought that the 2-year compromise was good because one gives you the first year to kind of settle in and be comfortable, and then you get the whole next year, and then let someone else take the pressure, I guess, right?
I'm in favor of this. I just want to make sure we're understanding, in 10 years, we might have a different situation. Right now, I feel like we've got a wonderful board and we've got a lot of experience, but if at a different time our board didn't have as much experience, then maybe there's only one person that, really understands how to do the job, and then rotating that person out could have consequences. You know, and
The beauty of it, Zach, is this, you can always change policy.
well, and that's, you know, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. It's just something to be mindful of. Like, I'm in favor of this. I'll be happy to vote for this. I just want to make sure we're mindful of that if circumstances change.
You know,
If we do something as a board that just completely upsets the community, I mean, you know, 3 of us can all get voted out at the same time. You know,
Yeah.
and you need 3 new people.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, that could happen anywhere. Sorry.
no, you're right. No, it's just funny that when I saw this, when I got it last week, because I've been wondering, I'm saying, well, that works into, I've been trying to come up and listen to Diane, how she does stuff. Because I know eventually, if I'm gonna sit here, I'm not gonna just sit here, you know? And I would like to try that, and I always wonder every week, well, is Diane gonna be here this month, you know? And so that's why I try and pay attention to what she does, you know? I think this is, to me, it's a great program. I mean, it's good to, it's fresh blood per se, even though we're still one team, it's just nice to get somebody else there. And I have seen it to where Diane has not done something right, you have someone down at the end saying, hey, Diane.
Yeah.
And that's what a team's for. I mean, that's what this board is for, is to make sure that nobody fails.
It's okay. Yeah.
You know.
It's all good, it's all good.
You know, I mean, I get a kick out of it, to be honest. But no, I think it's a great idea. Hey, trust me, if I'm up next, I just need a tape so I can really
Yeah,
take notes as I, okay, I do this and this. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve board policy.
I know, really, can you believe that?
I don't know. I feel like we're all agreeing.
It's usually the committee, you don't, it doesn't matter, but usually the committee.
Well, I tell you what, I have to finish my statement, so go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
it's all
All right.
good.
I'll make a motion to approve the board policy 4060, which states that at its regular meeting in the month of December, the board shall elect a chairperson, vice chairperson, and secretary. The term for the chairperson is limited to 2 consecutive one-year terms, not to exceed 2 years total. The term for the vice chairperson and secretary is 1 year. In the event of a vacancy, the office may be filled immediately by election of the board. The chairperson and vice chairperson must be directors. The secretary may be a director or staff person.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Okay, we got a motion and a second.
Sorry, Steve.
Okay, I do want to say one thing. Pat, with the beauty of our meetings now on YouTube, just,
Well, see, I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's
talk
how you do it.
afterwards and say, I don't know where you gotta show me where it's at so I can,
oh, just.
we'll talk afterwards.
There's a link on our website.
There's a link on the website to each board meeting.
That's why I got married, okay? I don't need to go here. And I was like, you know,
I'll send
I'm allowed to die.
I'll send you the links.
You can't say that today.
You know, I
I totally understand, Pat,
You know.
and so I'll be here 25 years, so
I know
I'll
where
be happy.
ESPN is on my phone and that's what I need.
And you know what? When I go in the store and get asked, who is your TV provider? I said, no, I do not mess with my man's TV. Otherwise, I won't be married anymore. So, and they stopped. So I respect that. Okay, a motion, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. All right, item 10C, administrative employee leave programs. So that is.
That's Pedro again.
That's Pedro.
Ooh, boys.
Wow,
Speaking
you're on the
of got to do, yes, I kind of like this.
Yeah, we're gonna make a chair next time.
Sure, I can flood this one up. No, again, it was another good discussion. We were talking about the administrative employee leave program. Since the North Highlands Park and Recreation District, they did not have one for the administrator or those folks who fall under that category. As you can see, I don't want to mess this up. So the administrator, recreation superintendent, park maintenance superintendent, park supervisor, recreation supervisor, and facility maintenance supervisor. Hope I got all those right. And all fall in that administrative leave program. There really was nothing that really guided that. So we looked at that, and we also, what we did was we also looked around at the neighboring park and rec districts around here who all had something to do, who all had a policy per se for the administrative leave program. What it is designed for is we know that, these folks just put in a lot more extra time than what their normal hours call for. And what this is just designed to sit there and let them have deliver their own time back. Now, we did put some stipulations in there. There is max times on there. For example, as you can read there on the page, 40 hours are going to be given every 6 months. Okay, starting with July 1st. What are those days? July 1st.
This year.
Yes, of this year, and then again 40 hours again on January 1st. Not to exceed. They cannot take those more than 16 hours in a month. Okay, so it's designed to sit there, and like I said, if this individual, the administrators in that bracket, but they got a lot of extra duties designed there to give them a little bit of time to recharge their batteries as well, because we know what it's like to continue to go on and on and on, and you just get drained. We as teachers kind of have that feeling sometimes. I'll tell you that right now. So it's like myself, I'm looking forward to next week. But anyways, we looked at that. Again, no cash values. It's nothing like sick leave that we're going to pay out. And this is something that we're looking at. And it's nothing that, again, like that was just nice what Larry said earlier about the policy. This policy we're going to look at very closely. We didn't want it to seem like we're just giving somebody a vacation time to add on to, hey, I'm going to go to Disney World for 2 weeks or whatever the time was. So that's why the 16 hours of administration leave each month was put in. We specifically wanted to sit there and say, hey, this is for these folks to recharge the batteries. We know they put in a lot of extra time. We know that. And it was also to make sure that we can also, make our folks with the same with those park districts that are around our surrounding park district. So in the event that Larry ever had to, I don't think he's leaving anytime soon, but if he ever did, we want to make sure that we have a compensation package as well to attract somebody else to come in, as well as our other folks who are in that bracket that falls under this administrative leave program. Again, Alan was with me. I don't know.
Yeah, the only
sure
thing I
messed
would
up.
add, which it says in the policy, is as of whatever is the balance at June 30th, you use it or lose it because it doesn't carry over. So you got 40 hours, whatever is remaining from the first 40 hours will carry over, but as of June 30th every year, goes away.
Yeah, could I just add a little bit to that?
You could.
Just for clarification, in our policy manual, we do offer what they call CTO.
Right.
And CTO is basically, in our district, for when we have staff who work above and beyond 40 hours in a work week, 8 hours in a day, they receive 1.5 times off for the hours worked. So as you know, we get a lot of call-outs. We had, Scott was really busy last Saturday night with the toilets that were backing up when we had an event next door with 250 people in there. And I think about 9 o'clock I got a phone call and he said, hey, toilets in the community center are all backing up on both sides. And so that took effort with Scott, no doubt, and myself, and we had one of our employees come out, assess the situation, going through the proper channels of calling the plumber and dealing with it. That, under the current system, falls under CTO. And mainly, and I should point out, the positions that Pedro mentioned, they're actually, in your policy manual, called exempt positions. So just as a separation, it's not everybody. There's those who are not mentioned will still receive CTO because they do get compensated under the current policy. But when Mark has a Easter program on a weekend, and when he goes to swim meets, or Scott comes out here to assess a situation as I just described. I mean, this stuff happens all the time, and often on the recreation side, they're working weekends, holidays. So the intent is this is nothing really new, it's harder for us to manage it under the old CTO system, because they have to report to me how many hours they work, then we have to talk about when they can take the time off. And we can track it, and they're getting, a lot of them are working more than 80 hours. So this way here, they get the money, they get the time up front, and then we just manage it the way it's earmarked in the policy. So at the end of the day, I think the district benefits from this. And in fairness too, you know, we often compare ourselves as a district to other districts. What do they pay recreation supervisors, park maintenance workers, and those type of things? And when we looked at all the other policies with the other districts, we were the only district that did not have a program in which we looked at how we deal with, I don't want to say it's just management level, because it's supervisor level on up, people who put in that extra time. So this kind of makes us more whole compared to the other districts, and I think that's been a goal of this board since I've been here for 5 years, is to make sure that we try to look at salary compensation, you know, benefits and those kinds of things, and this is just more along those lines.
You know, and also, just if I could just add one more thing there. You know, this wasn't something that we looked at blindly either. Larry did come with us with, you know, they did some checks and balances, if you will, annotated and said, hey, you know what, this is the amount of time over a specific period of time that we did spend time over. And it far exceeded what we're saying right here. So I think that was also pretty important in what we were discussing. So again, this wasn't something that we just looked at blindly. You know, we came with some good factual data. So again, I just want to make sure that that's also pointed out.
Just my only concern, I don't think it's really even a concern, what if 4 people want to use it all in one day, the same day?
They can't. I have to approve all the
I was
time
gonna
off.
say, yeah, still has to be.
Okay, well, that's why I said.
And one of the criteria that Pedro and Alan came up with, again, so we don't, you know, there's some risk with any program. And the initial risk, but I think it's been alleviated now, was what happens if this goes into effect July 1st, and let's say we gave everybody their 80 hours up front, and then Scott tells me 2 weeks later, oh, by the way, I'm quitting, I took a job in another district, and I'm going to use my hours, so effectively at the end of the day, I won't see you again. And so that's a risk, you know, we looked at. That's why we took the 80 and we split it at 2 6-month periods of time. And then the second one, I think it was Pedro that came up with it, was the idea of if we limit it to like 16 hours in a month, and so that way if an employee wanted to take a week's vacation that month, they still had to use 3 days of vacation leave, in addition to if they wanted to use their administrative leave. But by doing so, they can't use it all at one time, and it kind of reduces the risk that the district would take. And I think that's actually, of all the districts out there, we probably, and Rio Linda had some safeguards built into theirs as well, but some of them just handed the hours out day one, and that was it. It was managed just like it was an extension of vacation time. And we're not doing that.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
So now you want to make motions? I stole all your motions?
Yeah, of course.
We have, what's the policy number on this?
It doesn't, it's just new policy.
Well, it's a free
Policy.
I'll make a motion to approve the administrative leave program policy number to be decided.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I hate to do this to you. Well, under the recommendation,
Oh, yeah, it's 1 year.
it's probably important to mention in there that we had, and I believe it states it at the, let's see, where's it at? Yeah, if you don't mind, I would, if you read the recommendation, that way it goes into the record that way, because we want to make sure it's clear that it's for exempt employees. Okay?
By policy, the Board of Directors approves the recommendation to establish a district administrative leave program for full-time employees identified as exempt. The administrative leave program will become effective July 1st, 2019. Prior to July 1st, 2020, the administrative
administrator or?
The administrator will report back to the board of directors regarding this program. Results of this report may include changes or modifications to the program. The facilities maintenance supervisor is a newer position which is currently not identified in the district's policy manual as exempt. With the board of directors' approval of the administrative leave program, the facilities maintenance supervisor will be included as an exempt employee and will be reflected as such in the district's policy manual.
With the change,
So that's a motion.
okay, with
Also,
motion,
I was gonna say, why don't you just, that's an amend your second, saying, and then take a vote again.
To make a motion to amend that
Motion.
motion to include this recommendation.
okay, we have a motion and a second to the amended, motion. So all those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
If that comes up.
I got it.
I appreciate you guys trying to read this because we had that, the new employee, the facility maintenance, and that we need to make sure that, because then that gets added to the exempt employee list.
Yeah, all right,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, item 10B, the board member request for excused absence. So, Larry, did you want to?
Sure, just
Give a
briefly.
highlight?
Last meeting, Vice Chair Patrick Williams shared some information with the board about a personal issue that he would like to address over the next 3 months. And unfortunately, that situation would preclude him from attending board meetings over that 3-month period. As such, we went back and looked at the district policy manual and found out there was a policy that somewhat addressed this, but it talked about unexcused absences. And so in this case, it's my position that because if the board chooses to grant Mr. Williams leave for that period of time, this would not be an unexcused absence, but rather an excused absence. So therefore, the board policy would not have to be changed, because the board is simply making a decision to make it excused versus unexcused.
Alan?
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to list the next 3 meetings for Pat Williams as excused absences, and in the interim, appoint the chair to the 2 committee members that he currently sits on.
A motion,
Motion.
and a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, you okay with that?
Yeah.
Madam Chair?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's not, it doesn't start until the end of May, so I'll be in May's.
Okay,
Okay.
It'll be
good, thanks for clarifying.
So it'd be
June, July, August.
Got it.
Perfect. Sounds good. So everyone fine with that? All right. Thank you for the clarification, Pat. So, motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Okay, item 11, payment of the bills. So does anyone have any questions of staff on the billing report?
I'll make a motion to ratify payment of the bills.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the payment of bills? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. The next regular meeting of the Board of Directors will be on May 9, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. in the North Highlands Recreation Center, 6040 Watt Avenue, North Highlands. This meeting is adjourned.
You didn't want to state when the public meetings are?
Larry did that in the beginning.
Yeah, but
You guys